Hey guys, what's up? This is Bret. Welcome to this week's episode of Friday on the Turntable. Thank you all for tuning in for last week's feature where I ranked the entire catalog of The Cure. If you missed that, be sure to check it out down on my channel. So today, I'm going to be discussing Porno for Pyros, the self-titled debut album. And before I get started, I have to send a huge thank you to my friend Anthony in Australia, who this video would not be possible if he hadn't sent me this. If you watched my video on Record Store Day 2013, you'll know that I went home empty-handed with this item, and he happened to find a copy down in a record store in Australia, and he was kind enough to send me it. So Anthony, thank you so much. Man, really appreciate it. So Porno for Pyros, debut album, came out in 1993. Now before we start talking about the album, let's talk about 1993 a little bit, which is bizarre to think that that was 20 years ago, because in all honesty it still seems like it was just about 5 years ago to me. 1993, I pulled out a stack of stuff that came out that year. I intended to just do 5, but I ended up pulling out a few more. So when I think of 1993, I think of the Cranberries' first album. I think of U2's Zooropa. I think of Mazzy's Stars, So Tonight That I Might See. Nirvana's In Utero. Radiohead's Pablo Honey, their first album 20 years ago. The first Suede album. And one more here, the Red House Painters Roller Coaster. They in fact put out 2 albums that year, a Roller Coaster and Bridge, but this is the one that I first got back in 1993 with Grace Cathedral Park. Alright, so Porno for Pyros, you may or may not know that emerged from the dissolution of Jane's Addiction, the first run of Jane's Addiction. So when Jane's Addiction ended in 1991, Perry Farrell and Stephen Perkins, the singer and drummer of Jane's Addiction, went on to form Porno for Pyros. Dave Navarro and Eric Avery, who were the guitar player and bass player from Jane's Addiction, went on to do a side project called Deconstruction, which I've discussed before. But Porno for Pyros, they added Pete DiStefano, who was a surfing friend of Perry's, and Martine Lenoble, who was the bass player in Thelonious Monster, joined on bass. And they got together, I believe it was in early 1992. Perhaps it was, Jane's Addiction ended around September or October 91, so shortly after that. And back then I was really reading all the magazines and keeping up on what was going on after that, because it was a big shock when Jane's Addiction broke up. And first thing I saw from Porno for Pyros, and I have it right here because in 1992, a year before the album actually came out, I was at a record store. I can't believe I still have this, and I'm so happy that I get to show you guys this. But I bought this t-shirt in 1992, and this is I hope you guys can see it, but it's Porno for Pyros. It was just a white shirt with the devil on it that later appeared on the CD. But yeah, full of holes and well worn. I remember wearing this right after I got it, and the band was unknown virtually. So of course when I'd walk around college with it, it was people would always stop and ask me what that was all about. But that was really cool to have that. And then the band, I pulled out some really things from my youth also. So then songs started to emerge on the radio back then on the alternative radio station KUKQ, which Kevin Metal sent me this sticker. So KUKQ used to play tracks before the album came out, and I found my original cassette, which I've called Jane's Addiction Rare because I had some other items on there. But this is when I originally taped the songs off of the radio, and the first song that was played that I caught was Cursed Female, and then I also got Cursed Male, Sadness, and Tonight, which I'll talk about in a few minutes here. So that was my original Fuji cassette with those songs that were debuted on the radio. So happy that I still have that. So then, as the album drew near, the band played at the KUKQ Birthday Bash, which was a yearly festival that the radio station would throw. And in 1993, April 23rd in particular, Porno for Pyros was the headliners at the 4th KUKQ Birthday Bash. The reason I'm looking down is because I have my original tickets here. And also on the bill that day, and remember this is April 93, was Rage Against the Machine, who played really earlier in the day. The band Best Kissers in the World also played, X, Robin Hitchcock and the Egyptians, and then Porno for Pyros. And it was, they hadn't really done many shows at all. And here's my original ticket stub. My brother and I went with a couple friends, and I remember we were in the 6th row. And wow, that was just great. They played a short set because they mostly played all the songs that were on their first album, except maybe a few. So it was a really brief set. But there's some unused tickets there. I remember getting some extra ones, and they were pretty cheap. These ones say complimentary, so I think I had some free ones also. Yeah, so that was really cool. So then came out the album, Porno for Pyros. It came out on April 27th, 1993. Here it is again. It was such a drastic, I don't want to say drastic, but it was a definite departure from Jane's Addiction. The songs were more concise. Lyrically, they weren't as deep as Jane's Addiction songs were, but I don't think that was the point. It had a very Eastern feel to a lot of the songs. Peter's guitar playing was definitely more psychedelic than Dave Navarro's. It was more Eastern influenced. He used a lot of wah. Martin Lenoble's bass playing was definitely not as riff oriented as Eric Avery's, and his bass lines were very intricate. And the way Stephen Perkins put together his drums was a lot different than what was going on in Jane's Addiction. The songs were more, you'll have to sample the songs. It's they're just all little explosions of uniqueness. And it's a really short album, only 11 songs on this one, and I think it clocks in at under 40 minutes. I'll show you the American version of this one that came out for Record Store Day was on a splattered tie-dye vinyl, and the one that Anthony sent me was on blue vinyl. You can see right here, just beautiful coloring on that one, and it's got some marbling in it as well. But yeah, it was a really definite change from Jane's Addiction. And there were a couple singles that were released. One of them was Pets, and most people know the song Pets because it was on the radio. And I am fortunate to have actually a vinyl picture disc version of the Pets single. I'll show it to you here. This is a limited edition of that. I'll show you the back on there as well. It's a UK edition, and if you look at the single artwork, it's just like the album cover. So really cool. And then on the flip side, you have that devil that you saw on my shirt earlier. And Pets has the LP version and has a radio edit because there are a few profanities in the song Pets. So on the radio edit, there's some bleeps. And then it has a medley of Cursed Female and Cursed Male together. And then it has the song Tonight on it, which is a cover of Tonight from the West Side Story soundtrack. So that's really a nice little piece to have there. There was also a single for the song Sadness, which for some reason I don't have anymore, and it was a CD single, and it was like a little maxi CD, and it had a cool acoustic version of the opening track called A Little Sadness, and it had a track called Pete's Dad, which was for Pete's dad who had cancer, and then it had a couple live tracks. Well, I think that was a live one, and a song called Cook the Rice, which was really cool, but I don't have that CD anymore. Cursed Female had a music video for it. I don't know if it was officially released as a single. I think it may have just been like a promo single, but the video is definitely worth checking out. So my favorite tracks on this one, Sadness, of course. I Get the Devil in Me. It's Sadness. It's a cloud. Cursed Female is excellent. Of course, Pets. And then just the insane bass and drum onslaught that happens in the song Blood Rag is just really great. Martin Lenoble is just a phenomenal bass player. And he later went on to play in with Dave Gahan from Depeche Mode. And then I think I saw him one time and he was playing with the Cult. And who else did he play with? Mark Lanigan. And then he was also on the most recent Soul Savers album. And he's coincidental, or not coincidentally, but as a other little tidbit, he's married to Christina Applegate. And then the closing track, Orgasm, is just a really excellent song. Let me see what else I wanted to say here. So I did get to catch Porno for Pyros in there right before the album came out. After that, I got to see them. They booked one other show, and I think it got canceled at some point. It was going to be at a venue called the Mesa Amphitheater, but I did get to catch them again in 1996. It was in August 31st, 1996, and Martin had left the band at that point, and Mike Watt was playing bass, and it was in support of their second album, their second, which was their last one, which is now 17 years ago. Wow. At a venue called Club Rio, and Love and Rockets was the opener on that. And during the Love and Rockets set, Stephen Perkins came out and played some percussion with them. And then for Porno for Pyros set, I think Daniel Ash and David J came out and did the opening track, Porpoisehead, from Porno for Pyros' second album, Good God's Urge. I'll show you my original CD that I bought the day that it came out. Nice to still have that. Pulled out a few other pieces that I got. Porno for Pyros were one of the performers at Woodstock 1994. This is a live show. This coincidentally has the Little Sadness version on it, and Cook the Rice and Pete's Dad, as well as their set from Woodstock. And then my friend Jesse, Super Turbo Blur, had given me this for Christmas, and it was actually pretty much their first official full-length show, which was at Castaic Lake on July 11th, 1992. So that was like their first real show, and this is a live recording of that. So really cool to have that as well. Let's see what else I want to talk about on this. I think that was perhaps it. Just a couple other little things. The vinyl edition of this is super hard to find, and they only released 1,000 of these for Record Store Day. So if you look this one up, it'll cost you some. There's a line right from the album, but it's definitely readily available on compact disc. And what else here? Cool little fact, my brother sent me an email with a picture the other day, and it was, sure enough, it was an announcement from, I believe it was Peter Stefano, saying that the band has reunited and is working on a new album, what would be the third Porno for Pyros album. So I'm excited to hear. I mean, it's been, like I said, 17 years since the last one, so I'd be really curious to hear how that's all going to come together and what it's going to sound like, since in the interim there's been, several Jane's Addiction reunions. The first one was in 1997, which I caught, and with Flea on bass, and then they ended up playing with Jane's Addiction with Martin Lenoble on bass, and then they had Chris Chaney. I've seen him in, and then Eric Avery was back in the band. I've seen him in all different contexts. But anyways, guys, this is Porno for Pyros. Highly recommended. It's a great little piece of music, and it's such a fitting album. When I think of 1993, this is really the album that I think of, because it was pretty much the soundtrack, and it was one of the things that I was really looking forward to that year, and it was one of the most anticipated albums, of that time period. for me and my brother and my little group of friends at the time. So anyways, thanks guys for watching. Thanks again, Anthony, for this one. We're really touched that you sent me this, and it's definitely going to be cherished. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll talk to you soon.